So let's talk about one of life's biggest questions. How do you actually build a well-lived life in this modern world of ours? In this explainer, we're going to dig into what makes a life feel whole, and we'll be drawing on some of the most profound ideas from throughout history to do it.
It all really starts with this weird paradox, one that I think a lot of us feel deep down. I mean, think about it. We have more comfort, more choice, and more stimulation than any generation that's ever lived. And yet, there's often this nagging feeling of anxiety or restlessness or maybe just a quiet sense of emptiness. So what's going on?
To get to the bottom of this, we're going to lean on the work of evolutionary scientist Gad Saad. He frames this whole problem as an kind of imaginary conversation, almost like a dinner party, where he brings together philosophers, psychologists, and scientists to figure out what's wrong and what we can do about it.
All right, first up is really diagnosing this happiness paradox. You know, that feeling of emptiness that can creep in right in the middle of an age that's supposed to be full of incredible comfort. You know, the philosopher Blaise Pascal saw this coming centuries ago. He said that we use constant diversion, noise, novelty, endless distractions, to run away from the bigger questions about our own purpose. And these little amusements, whether it's scrolling through your phone or binge watching a show, they may cover up what he called an inner poverty, but they can never, ever cure it.
And the psychologist Abraham Maslow builds on this perfectly. He points out that, sure, we need our basic needs for safety and comfort met. But once they are, these higher needs pop up, things like belonging, purpose, and growth. The big idea here is really simple. Just because you've gotten rid of pain doesn't mean you've actually created fulfillment.
And social scientist Arthur Brooks gives us the modern-day biological reason for this. It's called hedonic adaptation. That thrill you get from something new, a new phone, a vacation, whatever, it fades. It's just how our brain works. It adapts, and pretty soon we need another bigger hit to feel that same pleasure. So, chasing comfort and pleasure, it's literally like running on a treadmill and going nowhere.
Which leads us to a really challenging question, one you kind of have to ask yourself. In our big quest to get rid of all discomfort and risk, have we accidentally engineered the vitality, the aliveness, right out of our own lives?
And this right here, this is the central argument from Gad Saad. We just weren't designed for a life of permanent, cushy ease. Our vitality, our sense of being alive, is directly tied to overcoming challenges, to building resilience, and to that deep satisfaction of earned competence. When you take away the struggle, life can start to feel emotionally thin.
So, if the problem isn't a lack of comfort, then what is it? Well, the next part of our diagnosis points to a fundamental mismatch between our modern lives and our ancient, evolved human nature.
Now let's be super clear on what we mean by human nature. This isn't about being primitive or anything like that. It's about the deep biological programming that we all carry around, those fundamental ways we think, feel, and act that have been shaped over millions of years of evolution.
And these ancient drives, they're still running our operating system today, whether we like it or not. We are fundamentally wired to seek belonging in a tribe, to care about our status, to form deep romantic bonds, to protect our family, and to find a purpose that's bigger than just our own momentary pleasure.
So here's the crucial point. We have a choice. We can either build a life that aligns with these deep, fundamental needs, creating a really stable foundation for well-being, or we can try to live against our nature, which just creates this constant low-grade mismatch that leads to anxiety and a really fragile kind of happiness that's built on an illusion.
So let's see how this mismatch actually plays out in one of the most confusing parts of modern life, our search for love, for connection, and for stability. If you look at modern dating culture, it often puts things like freedom, novelty, and endless self-expression on a pedestal. And those can be good things. But what happens when they become the central focus of our relationships? What do we end up losing? This quote just nails the trade-off perfectly. A life built on just chasing the next exciting thing, the next new person, it keeps you moving for sure, but you may never actually arrive at a destination of deep, secure, lasting connection.
And this isn't just some abstract idea. The consequences are real, and they can be really painful. People can become emotionally hardened. There's constant confusion about motives. We start to lose depth when the hard work of sacrifice and commitment is seen as a burden instead of a strength. And ultimately, the very roots needed for stable families get weakened.
Okay, so we've diagnosed the paradox of comfort, we've talked about the mismatch with our nature, and we've looked at the fragility in modern love. Now for the most important part, the prescription for building a life that actually holds together.
I mean, this is the ultimate test for any philosophy of life, right? Can your definition of happiness actually withstand the inevitable realities of suffering, of getting older, and of facing your own mortality? Because if it can't, it's not a very useful definition of happiness, is it?
The Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl gives us such a profound answer here. He basically argues that we should stop chasing happiness directly and start pursuing meaning instead. Because meaning, that's what can survive hardship. When you have a why to live for, you can endure almost any how, and then a different, more resilient kind of happiness can follow.
The Stoic philosopher Seneca adds another really important layer. He argued that making peace with the fact that you're going to die is a key to freedom. It allows you to build a happiness based on your inner character and your virtue, things that can survive anything, rather than basing it on external pleasure, which, as we know, can be taken away in an instant. So this really brings us to two very different paths. You have the fragile life, which is all about chasing pleasure and avoiding reality at all costs. And then you have the enduring life, which seeks meaning and confronts reality with courage. It's really about building your inner character, not just hoping for good weather outside.
And this is the ultimate goal. Not a life of constant, non-stop bliss, but a life that is coherent, a life that holds together. One where what you think, what you feel, and what you do are all in alignment. That's a life that can withstand hardship and the test of time.
So the final question is a personal one for you to take with you. When you really look at the foundation that you're building, your values, your relationships, the way you face reality, is your life being built to last?